Today, we are talking about a single project, a really big one that could basically define America's entire energy and tech future. We're talking about Thacker Pass.
Okay, so for the longest time, whenever you heard lithium, you immediately thought electric cars, right? Well, that whole story is changing. The script is totally flipping. The real demand driver going forward, it's not just our cars anymore. It's the data centers, the massive, power-hungry grids needed to run them. You see, the age of AI is here, and it is insanely thirsty for electricity.
So here's how we're going to break this all down for you. We'll kick things off with the big market shift, then we'll zero in on the project itself, and wrap up with a final verdict on what this all means.
All right, first up, let's set the scene. For a while now, the lithium market has been in what you could call a deep freeze, a lithium winter where prices just fell off a cliff. But things are starting to change. We're seeing the first signs of a thaw.
And look, when I say it was brutal, I'm not kidding. We're talking about a 90% price collapse from the peak back in 2022. This wasn't just some small correction. No, this was a massive shakeout. It completely wiped out the speculators and really tested the grit of every single producer out there.
But like all cycles, this one is starting to turn. We've just seen a 20% surge in Chinese lithium prices, and that's a huge signal, right? It tells us that industrial demand is firing back up. It looks like the deep freeze might finally be over.
So with this big market shift happening, one project in particular comes into really sharp focus. It's a true cornerstone of America's new industrial strategy, and that, of course, is Thacker Pass.
So what is Thacker Pass? Well, it's located out in Nevada, and it is the single largest known lithium deposit in all of North America. And let's be clear, this isn't just another mine. We're talking about a strategic national asset. Its development is, frankly, a matter of U.S. national security. And you know, this isn't some far-off dream or a plan on a piece of paper. Nope, construction is in full swing. There are over 1,000 workers on site right now. They're targeting the start of Phase 1 production for late 2027. So, what's the big deal? What makes Thacker Pass so compelling? Well, the whole story really rests on three incredibly powerful pillars. And together, they make this project uniquely, well, de-risked. Let's break them down. First, you've got this insane financial backing. Second, some really strategic management moves. And third, the project's built-in cost advantages. Okay, pillar number one is this massive financial moat. The U.S. Department of Energy has stepped up with a $2.26 billion loan, and at great rates too. I mean, that's about as clear a signal as you can get about how important this project is.
But wait, the government isn't the only one placing a huge bet here. General Motors has jumped in with nearly $1 billion of their own money. And with that investment, they've locked up 100% of the initial production for the next 2 decades. Talk about a massive vote of confidence, right?
And this is where it gets really interesting. As part of that big loan, the U.S. government now holds warrants that give it about a 5% equity stake in the whole project. Think about that. The government is now a shareholder. That tells you everything you need to know. Thacker Pass is now officially in the too big to fail category. All right, pillar number 2, savvy management. This was a brilliant move. Back in 2023, the company decided to spin off its assets in Argentina. Why? To create a company that was purely focused on the US. And that was the key that unlocked all those billions in funding from the Department of Energy. And the third pillar, it's all about the geology. See, instead of doing traditional, expensive hard rock mining, Thacker Pass is going to extract lithium from clay. That method, plus the fact that this mine has a 40-plus year lifespan, gives it a huge and really durable cost advantage. Okay, now let's circle back to demand, because like we said at the top, this story isn't just about EVs anymore, not even close. It's about something way bigger.
I'm talking about the explosive growth of AI. It has created this absolutely voracious appetite for energy. The new data centers, the AI brains that are powering this revolution, they literally consume as much electricity as a small city. It's wild.
So these AI data centers, they need a staggering amount of power. And to handle that, companies are now installing these massive battery arrays right on site. And what's inside those batteries? Lithium. This is creating a completely new and really important non-cyclical source of demand for the stuff. Now, of course, no project this big is a total slam dunk. There are always risks. So we have to take a clear-eyed look at the potential headwinds here.
You can really boil the risks down to 3 main things.
First, execution risk. 2027 is still a couple of years away, and a lot can happen. Second, dilution. They've had to raise capital, and that increases the share count. And third, tariffs. About a quarter of the project's costs are tied to equipment from overseas, so trade policy is a real wild card.
So, at the end of the day, when you put it all on the scale, you weigh those powerful pillars of support against the risks we just talked about, what's the final verdict on Thacker Pass?
Well, here is the absolute key takeaway. Thacker Pass has fundamentally transformed. It's no longer just a speculative mining play. It's now a piece of national strategic infrastructure, and it's backed by the full faith and credit of the US government. Now, from a trader's perspective, this period right now, this pre-production phase, could represent a really critical window. The thinking is that the market hasn't fully woken up and priced in the reality of what's coming in 2027.
And all of this really leaves us with a much bigger question, doesn't it? Is this Thacker Pass partnership, is it the new blueprint for American industry? Could this be the model for how we rebuild our industrial core? A powerful alliance between private companies, major corporations, and the federal government.